You're looking for answers, looking for someone to stitch up those wounds, to tell you it's going to be all right. But let me guess, it's them, isn't it? The ones who caused the scars in the first place. The ones who laughed while you bled. You're waiting for an apology, aren't you? An apology? Such a funny little thing, isn't it? A few pathetic words, strung together like a rusted chain, meant to bind your pain and say, hey, forget it happened. But let me tell you something real, something raw. Their apology will mean nothing when you've already moved on. Nothing. Not a damn thing. You see, the thing about people is, they don't change. Oh sure, they'll put on a new mask, pretend to be someone else for a while. But underneath, they're still the same selfish, spineless cowards who ripped you apart. Let me paint a picture for you. You're standing in the ruins of your life, ashes falling like snow, and they come crawling back. They look you in the eyes, tears streaming down their pathetic faces, and they whisper, I'm sorry. But where were they when you were drowning in your own silence? Where were they when you were screaming into the void, hoping, praying for someone to notice? Nowhere. And you think their words can undo that? You think their apology can stitch up your shredded soul? No, it doesn't work like that. The world doesn't work like that. You can't pour water back into a broken glass and expect it to hold. Once it's shattered, it's done. And that's what they did to you. They shattered you. They turned your trust into dust, your hope into a joke. And now they want forgiveness? Forgiveness is for the weak. It's for people who are too afraid to face the truth, too afraid to admit that not everyone deserves a second chance. Let me tell you a little secret. Something they don't want you to know. You don't need their apology. You don't need their guilt, their regret, their fake tears. What you need is to rise from the ashes, to stand tall and look them in the eye and say, I don't need you anymore. Because the moment you move on, the moment you take that pain and turn it into power, their words lose all meaning. Their apologies become nothing more than echoes in the wind. And that terrifies them. You see, they don't want you to move on. They want you to stay broken, to keep waiting for them. Because as long as you're waiting, they still have control. But the second you let go, the second you realize that their opinion, their validation, their apology means nothing, that's when you win. That's when you take back your power. Moving on isn't easy. Oh no, it's a war. A war against every memory, every ghost, every whisper of what if. But here's the thing about wars. They're not won by sitting still. They're won by fighting, by pushing forward, by refusing to let the enemy define you. And make no mistake, they are the enemy. Their betrayal, their lies, their indifference, that's your battlefield. And you're the warrior. Do you know what warriors do? They don't wait for permission to heal. They don't wait for someone to hand them closure. They take it. They carve it out with their bare hands, if they have to. And when the dust settles, when the smoke clears, they stand there, battered and bruised, but unbroken. That's what you're going to do. You're going to take every ounce of pain they gave you and turn it into fuel. You're going to build a fire so bright that their shadows can't touch you anymore. And when they come crawling back, begging for forgiveness, you won't even have to say a word. Your silence will scream louder than any insult ever could, because by then you'll have already moved on. You'll have already become someone so strong, so unshakable, that their apology will bounce off you like raindrops on steel. And that, my friend, is the ultimate revenge. Not anger, not hatred, indifference. To look at them and feel nothing. To know that they no longer have any power over you. That's what it means to truly move on. Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Their apology is nothing but a band-aid for a wound that's already healed. The only thing that matters now is you. Your strength, your future, your freedom. The past is dead. Leave it there. Move on, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Their apology will mean nothing when you've already moved on. And trust me, when that day comes, you won't even look back. You think the hardest part is them walking away. Oh, no, no, no. The hardest part is knowing they were never there to begin with. They were just ghosts, shadows of who you thought they were. And you gave them everything. Your time, your trust, your love, everything. And they threw it all away like it was nothing. But here's the cruel twist, the sick joke. You kept waiting, hoping, thinking, maybe, just maybe, they'd come back and fix it all. But let me tell you something about hope. It's a liar, a cruel, twisted liar. Hope doesn't heal wounds, it keeps them open. It keeps you bleeding, keeps you trapped in this endless loop of what ifs. What if they didn't leave? What if they actually cared? What if they realized their mistake and came running back? But here's the truth. They won't. They won't. Because people like that, they don't come back for you. They come back for themselves, for their guilt, their ego, their need to feel like they're not the bad guy. You think their apology is for you? No, no, no. It's for them. It's so they can sleep at night, so they can tell themselves, I tried. I did the right thing. But where was this righteousness when you were falling apart? Where was this guilt when they left you in the dark, alone, broken? Enough. Enough of this waiting, this hoping, this clinging to the idea that they'll somehow make it right. They won't. And you're better than this. Better than them. Moving on isn't just about letting go of the past. It's about becoming something they'll never understand. It's about taking all that pain, all that anger, and turning it into power. You think they deserve your tears? Your sleepless nights? No. They don't even deserve your thoughts. Every second you spend thinking about them is a second you're stealing from yourself. And for what? For someone who didn't see your worth? Someone who treated you like an afterthought? No. That ends today. Right now. You want to know how you move on? You don't wait for closure. You don't wait for their apology, their explanation, their pathetic attempts to make things right. You create your own closure. You take that pain and you bury it so deep inside that it becomes fuel. Fuel to rise, to grow, to become unstoppable. Look at me, look at me. You don't need them, you never did. They were a distraction, a detour on the road to who you're meant to be. And now you get to be free. Free from their lies, their manipulation, their poison. Do you know what freedom tastes like? It's bitter at first. It's hard to swallow. But then it becomes sweet. It becomes the air in your lungs, the fire in your veins. And before you know it, you're running, soaring, leaving them so far behind that their apologies can't even reach you. Here's the thing they'll never tell you. People only apologize when they think they've lost you. Not because they've changed, not because they're better, but because they're scared. Scared of what? Scared of being forgotten. Scared of watching you become someone they can't touch, can't control, can't manipulate anymore. And that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to forget them. You're going to rise so high, burn so bright, that there'll be nothing but a faint shadow in the distance. And when they finally muster the courage to come crawling back, you won't even need to say a word. Your silence will be louder than any scream, more powerful than any revenge. That's the punchline, my friend. That's the grand joke. They thought they broke you, thought they could keep you down, keep you waiting. But the truth is, you were never waiting for them. You were waiting for yourself, for the moment you'd finally see that you're stronger than they ever gave you credit for. And now you know. Now you see it. Their apology doesn't matter. Their regret doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you. What you do next, how you rise, how you move forward without ever looking back. Leave the past where it belongs. Burn it, bury it, forget it. Because their apology will mean nothing when you've already moved on. And when you do, when you finally take that step forward, you'll realize the truth. You never needed them. Not then, not now, not ever. Do you know why I'm still talking? Why I haven't let you walk out of here yet? Because I need you to hear this. Not just listen, hear it, feel it. Let it sink into your bones until it becomes part of you. Batman! You think you're the only one who's been through this? The only one who's been betrayed, left behind, used and discarded? Oh, please. This world thrives on betrayal. It breathes lies, feeds on weakness. And people are the worst of them all. They smile in your face while sharpening the knife for your back. But here's the thing. You're not just anyone. You're not like them. You're not made of glass, ready to shatter at the slightest touch. You're steel. You're fire. And fire doesn't break. It burns. It consumes. And when you finally let that fire out, there's no going back. Do you know what they're afraid of? It's not your anger. No, anger they can handle. They're afraid of your indifference, your silence. Because when you stop caring, when you stop giving them the satisfaction of your pain, that's when you win. That's when you become untouchable. Let me tell you a story. Picture this. There's a man standing at the edge of a cliff, broken, battered, ready to fall. Behind him, the people who pushed him there. They're watching, waiting, hoping he'll jump. Why? Because if he falls, they don't have to deal with the guilt of what they've done. They can look at each other and say, it wasn't our fault, he was weak. But then the man doesn't jump. He steps back, he turns around, looks them in the eyes, and walks away. And do you know what happens next? They crumble. They fall apart. Because their power over him, over his mind, his heart, is gone. He's free. That man could be you. Right now you're standing on the edge, looking down, thinking maybe, just maybe, their apology will pull you back. But it won't. It'll only push you closer. Because their words are empty, hollow. They're not meant to save you. They're meant to save themselves. So step away from the edge, turn around, walk away, and when they call out, when they beg, when they cry, don't even look back. Because the moment you do, the moment you entertain their nonsense, you give them power. And power is the only thing that matters in this world. Take back your power. Take back your life. Take every ounce of pain they gave you, every tear you cried, every sleepless night, and use it. Build something so strong, so unshakable that their words, their actions, their very existence become irrelevant. But don't do it for revenge. No, revenge is cheap. It's fleeting. Do it for yourself. Do it because you deserve better, because you are better. And when they see you thriving, when they see you standing tall, unbroken, untouchable, they'll know they lost something they'll never get back. And that will be their punishment. Not your anger, not your hatred, but your success, your indifference. Because nothing hurts more than being forgotten by someone you thought would never let go. You're going to move on, not because it's easy, not because it's painless, but because it's necessary. Because staying here, waiting, hoping, that's not living. That's surviving. And you're meant for more than just survival. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to stand up, dust yourself off, and walk away. Not for them, not to prove a point, but for you. Because every step you take away from them is a step closer to freedom, to strength, to the life you deserve. And when the day comes, when they finally realize what they've lost, their apology will mean nothing. It will be a whisper in a storm, a drop in an ocean. You won't need it. You won't even want it. Because by then, you'll have already moved on. And that, my friend, is the greatest punchline of all. You win. They lose. Not because you fought them, but because you stopped fighting for them. You thought I was finished, didn't you? Oh no. There's more. So much more. See, people like you, people who've been betrayed, broken, you think once you hear the truth, it's over. But that's the trick, the illusion. The truth doesn't set you free. It chains you to reality. And reality? Oh, it's a cruel beast. Let me tell you something they don't teach you in those motivational books. Those cheesy quotes you cling to in the dead of night. Healing isn't pretty. It's ugly. It's messy. It's crawling through the filth of your own despair, clawing at the walls of your own mind, fighting battles no one will ever see. And you're still waiting for some sign, some closure, some grand moment where everything suddenly makes sense. But here's the punchline. That moment doesn't exist. Closure isn't given, it's taken. You rip it from the jaws of your own pain, you build it from the ruins they left behind, and you never look back. Do you know why their apology doesn't matter? Because it's not about you. It never was. It's about them. It's about their need to feel better, to absolve themselves of guilt. They're not sorry for what they did. They're sorry they got caught. They're sorry they have to face the consequences of their actions. You think they're losing sleep over you? Think again. While you're lying awake, replaying every word, every action, they're out there, living their lives, unbothered, unaffected. And you're stuck in a loop, a prisoner of your own mind. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That's the joke. They're out there free as a bird while you carry the weight of what they did. And you think an apology will change that? You think their words will lift that weight off your shoulders? No. The only way to lift that weight is to let it go. Not for them. Not for their peace of mind. For you. Because as long as you carry it, they win. They hold the power. And you're just a puppet dancing to the strings of your own pain. Let me ask you something. What's the worst they've done to you? Betrayed you? Lied to you? Left you when you needed them most? Whatever it is, it doesn't define you. You think their actions are a reflection of your worth? Wrong. Their actions are a reflection of who they are. Weak, selfish, pathetic. And you're still here, still breathing, still fighting. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you strong. They tried to break you, but here you are, standing in the ruins, refusing to fall. But strength isn't enough. Survival isn't enough. You have to thrive. You have to take every ounce of pain they gave you, every tear you cried, every sleepless night, and turn it into fuel. You have to become a force so unstoppable, so unshakable, that their actions become irrelevant. Do you know what happens when you move on? Truly move on? They lose. They lose their hold over you, their place in your mind, their power over your life. And that terrifies them. Because without your pain, without your anger, they're nothing. Just ghosts in the shadows, forgotten and irrelevant. And when they come back, and they will, they'll come with their apologies, their excuses, their desperate attempts to make things right. But by then, you won't need their words. You won't need their validation, because you'll have already found something far more valuable: yourself. And that's the secret, isn't it? That's the punchline. You don't need them. You never did. Everything you've been searching for, everything you've been waiting for, it's already inside you. The strength, the resilience, the power to move on. It's been there all along. You just have to see it. Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Their apology will mean nothing when you've already moved on. And when you do, when you finally let go, you'll realize the truth. They weren't worth it. They were never worth it. The past is dead. Leave it there. Burn it. Bury it. Forget it. Because the future is yours. And no one can take that away from you. You thought it would be over when you moved on, didn't you? That the pain would just vanish, the scars would fade, and life would go back to normal. But here's the thing about scars. They don't disappear. They stay. They linger. A reminder of what you've been through, of what you've survived. And that's not a bad thing. No, scars are proof. Proof that you fought, that you bled, that you survived when the odds were stacked against you. They're a map of your battles, your victories. So don't hide them. Don't be ashamed of them. Wear them like armor. Let the world see what you've been through, what you've overcome. You think moving on is about forgetting, about pretending it never happened. Wrong. Moving on is about remembering every lesson, every mistake, every betrayal, not to dwell on them, but to learn from them, to use them as fuel to become someone stronger, smarter, untouchable. But here's the catch. Moving on isn't a straight line. It's not some magical path where everything gets easier the further you go. It's a maze, a twisted, confusing maze filled with dead ends and wrong turns. And you've been stuck at the entrance, afraid to take the first step, afraid of getting lost. But you can't stay there forever. Life doesn't wait for you to figure it out. It keeps moving, with or without you. And if you don't start walking, you'll be left behind. You'll be stuck, chained to the past, while the world moves on without you. Do you know what the real joke is? The people who hurt you, they're not stuck. They're not waiting for your forgiveness, your approval, your permission to move on. No, they've already moved on. They've left you behind. And now, they're out there, living their lives, forgetting you ever existed. And you're here, clinging to the hope that they'll come back, that they'll apologize, that they'll make it right. But let me tell you something. They won't. They won't, because they don't care. They don't care about what they did to you, about how much they hurt you, about the scars they left behind. So why should you care about them? Why should you give them the satisfaction of holding on to the pain they caused? Why should you let them live rent-free in your head while you struggle to move forward? You want to know the secret to moving on? It's not about forgetting. It's not about forgiveness. It's about taking back control. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I don't need them. I never did. It's about realizing that you are stronger than they ever gave you credit for. That you are worth more than their lies, their betrayal, their empty promises. That you deserve better. And when you finally see that, when you finally take back your power, you'll understand the truth. Their apology doesn't matter. Their regret doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you, your strength, your resilience, your ability to rise above the ashes and build something better. But don't just move on, transform. Become someone they can't even recognize, someone they can't touch, can't control, can't manipulate. Become the person you were always meant to be. And when they see you, when they see the fire in your eyes, the strength in your step, they'll know they lost something they'll never get back. They'll know they threw away someone extraordinary. And that will be their punishment. So stop waiting, stop hoping. Their apology will mean nothing when you've already moved on. And when that day comes, when you finally let go, you'll realize the truth. You never needed them. Not then. Not now. Not ever. Now go. Burn the past. Leave it behind. And when they come crawling back, begging for forgiveness, let your silence be your answer. Let your strength be your revenge. Because you're not just moving on, you're rising. And no one can stop you. You think silence is your answer, don't you? That if you just sit there long enough, the pain will fade on its own. But silence isn't the answer. It's the poison. Silence is where the doubts grow, where the what-ifs multiply. Let me tell you a secret about silence. It's where they want you to be. Quiet, obedient, stuck. Because as long as you're silent, you're easy to control. But when you speak, when you act, when you stand tall and say, enough, that's when the real change begins. But you're not ready yet, are you? You're still holding on to the past, to the pain, to the hope that maybe they'll come back, that maybe they'll say the right words, do the right things, and make it all better. But they won't. They can't, because they're not built like you. They don't see the world the way you do. To them, apologies are currency, cheap and disposable. They think a few words can erase the damage they've done, as if your pain is something that can be swept under the rug. But your pain, it's real, it's raw, and it deserves more than their hollow apologies. It deserves your attention, your acknowledgement, not to dwell on it, not to let it consume you, but to understand it, to learn from it, to let it shape you into something stronger. Do you know what strength really is? It's not about being unbreakable. It's about breaking and rebuilding. It's about taking the pieces of yourself that they shattered and turning them into something they can't destroy. You want to know the truth about moving on? It's not a clean break. It's not some magical moment where you wake up one day and feel nothing. Moving on is messy. It's painful. It's a battle you fight every single day. Like, you'll wake up some mornings and feel like you're back at square one. You'll see something, hear something, and it'll all come rushing back. The memories, the pain, the betrayal. But that's okay. That's part of the process. Because every time you face it, every time you fight through it, you get stronger. And strength? Strength isn't about pretending the pain doesn't exist. It's about acknowledging it, accepting it, and refusing to let it define you. It's about standing in the ruins of what they left behind and saying, this is mine now. My pain, my story, my life, and I will rebuild it. Do you know what scares them the most? It's not your anger. It's not your sadness. It's your indifference. The moment you stop caring, the moment you stop needing their validation, their approval, their apologies, that's when you become untouchable. And when they come back, and they will, they'll come crawling, begging, pleading for another chance. But by then, you won't need them. You won't even want them, because you'll see them for what they really are. weak, pathetic, and unworthy of your time, your energy, your love. That's the joke, isn't it? They thought they broke you. They thought they left you in pieces. But the truth is, they only made you stronger. They made you into something they can't control, can't manipulate, can't destroy. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to rise, not for them, not to prove a point, but for you, because you deserve it, because you are worth more than they ever gave you credit for. And when you do, when you finally move on, you'll realize something. Their apology doesn't matter. It never did, because it was never about them. It was always about you. So go, burn the past, leave it behind. And when they come crawling back, begging for forgiveness, let your silence be your answer. Let your strength be your revenge.